Winning Blueprint presents.
In the lab room.
Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Luke. Thank you for joining me. I can't help but laugh. I can't help but smile today because vindication is so sweet in the National Football League. And it's only fitting that it happened on the grandest of grand stages, Monday Night Football, for all to see. I told you exactly what was going to happen, and it happened. It happened just the way that I told you it would, and it happened just the way I wanted it to. I wanted everybody to see this because this is what the Jets have created. And I told you, I'm not a guy with a lot of malice in my heart. I don't just pick a team, single them out, and decide that I don't like them. I don't do that. There's only a few teams in the National Football League that I just can't stand, flat out, and it's because of the team that I like. Naturally, I like my team, so I don't like those other teams in my division. That's it. I don't have anything really against any other team in the National Football League, for the most part. But the Jets really rubbed me the wrong way this year, and the way they've handled everything this season, whether it's been talking to the media unnecessarily, letting things spill out, Rex Ryan and Mike Tannenbaum not really handling things the way they need to in the front office, going out trading for Tim Tebow, then really relegating him to just table scraps duty, punt formations and personal protector and a couple of plays here and there. They're not utilizing him properly. And then to top it off and to make matters worse, you don't have an effective quarterback and you won't put the man in and give him a shot. As if your quarterback that you have in as a starter right now is getting the job done. So a lot of gripes, but it all came to a head on Monday Night Football, and what better stage? As I said before, the football gods always get it right. They always rectify a situation that's in the wrong. And this Jets team was in the wrong for trying to have a shot at making it to the postseason. And the football gods would have none of it. And it was a fitting way. I think Mike Tirico summed it up best. On that last turnover by Mark Sanchez, on that last possession, they got one snap, had a chance to win the football game. They fumble it away before they could even get a playoff. And a fitting, perfect end to a disastrous season by a bad football team trying to sneak into our postseason and infiltrate it and contaminate it with that garbage that they put forth on Monday. Wasn't going to happen. Football gods would have none of it. And there you have it. I really don't even need to talk about this game. There wasn't a lot to talk about. There wasn't a lot that occurred in this game. You got the Chris Johnson 94-yard touchdown run, which was a thing of beauty. He got up the middle. And you know, once Chris Johnson gets a full head of steam, there's not many guys in the league that are going to catch him. So you knew at that moment when he got through the middle, he got even with Jeremiah Bell, he was leaving him. He was going to leave him, and Jeremiah Bell could have just stopped running right there, saved himself the trouble, saved himself the breath. He wasn't going to catch Chris Johnson. That was going to be a touchdown. That was the biggest play in the game. Mark Sanchez was able to throw a touchdown pass to Jeff Cumberland, but really, that was it for the scoring. Jake Locker scored the go-ahead touchdown in the fourth quarter with a basically student body left play where he just catches the football and just takes off to the left side of the formation and gets blocks from Chris Johnson, gets blocks from the fullback and the tight end on that side. The tackle kicks out, makes an excellent block, Mike Ruse, and they go in. Touchdown. And that was the deciding factor in the game. It ended up being 14-10. That was the score after that touchdown. That was basically it for the game. That was the last touchdown. Those were the last points in the game. So the score ended up 14-10. Mark Sanchez and the Jets proceeded to throw up all over themselves later in that game. And so, I mean, that was it. And I was a happy man because I said it was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen. But it's one thing to say it. It's a totally different thing to actually see it unfold right before your very eyes. And again, I'm a guy that loves to say, I told you so. So this one was fun for me. I'm not going to point the finger and wag it and tell you that I told you so. But you know what I'm thinking. But I'm not going to say it because it doesn't need to be said anymore. I've beat this horse. It's been dead a long time ago. I've just continued to hit it anyway. But I'm done. These Jets stink. And now justice has been served. They're not going to the postseason. And that's all I really wanted. At the end of the day, I've spewed my venom on this team, this franchise, and the lack of direction and the fact that they won't give Tebow a chance. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you that it didn't matter how many interceptions Mark Sanchez threw? They weren't going to put Tim Tebow in the game. They weren't going to put him in. He threw 4 interceptions, had a costly fumble. He stunk it up in this game. And yet they didn't take him out. Didn't take him out. They gave Tebow a series. Who can get it done in one series? He barely got his feet wet. I just said they needed to give him a chance. And like I told you earlier, had Greg McElroy been the second quarterback in this game, I guarantee you he gets a shot. But they just got something against Tebow. Maybe they keep telling us about practice. You knew what you were getting when you got Tim Tebow. I don't want to hear about that practice garbage. Put him in the game. But don't worry about it. Nobody cares now. You're not going to the postseason. And for all I care, you could lose the rest of your games. You could win the rest of your games. I could care less. As long as you're not in my postseason contaminating it with bad football, I'm fine. Because when it's all said and done, justice will be served. It was already served. And I can care less what goes on now. So that'll do it. I mean, a fitting way to end Monday Night Football for the season. Put 2 bad teams on that final game, on that season finale of Monday Night Football. Have it come down to the wire and have the team that has been bad all season long blow it on the last possession that keeps them from having a shot at making the postseason. Couldn't have written it any better. Storybook ending. And so, that's a touchdown. Go ahead and throw it up. I'm going to tack on this quick extra point. You know what? It's so funny. Watching these games over the weekend and seeing all that has transpired. And we're in week 16 now. This is going to be a great postseason. There's a lot of storylines that are just floating beneath the surface. And you got Brian Urlacher, getting mad because, someone asked him about the fans and them booing, and he just had a hissy fit about how, he could care less about the fans and the media and this and that. Who cares what Brian Urlacher has to say? Nobody cares. You're injured. How about you get healthy and play and shut up? So nobody cares what Urlacher has to say right now. And how about you get your team in a position to go to the postseason? How about you help do that? Instead of worrying about what the fans are doing. The fans are booing because for the second consecutive season, after 10 games, you've had 7 wins, yet you're in danger of missing the postseason. That's why the fans are booing. You expect them to cheer even when you're stinking it up? Even when your offense can't put 20 points on the scoreboard week after week after week, you expect them to cheer? Man, get out of my face with that. And so, I waved the hand at Urlacher in disgust. You look at the San Francisco 49ers, they're winning. But there's still something bubbling beneath the surface. I'm not sure. Turning Point will be on Wednesday, and I'm pretty sure one of the games on Turning Point will be, if I had to guess, I could give you 2 of them. There weren't many close games in week 15, so I can assure you 2 of the games that'll be on Turning Point will be the Sunday night game. That was a fantastic game. And the Steelers game. That was a fantastic game. So those 2 will be, I'll be interested to see if they have any sound bites from the sidelines that I can pull from and talk about, because there's guys that still want Alex Smith as the quarterback. And I don't know why, because if Alex Smith is playing, you don't get games like this. You don't get performances with a 49er score of 41 points. Not with Alex Smith as your quarterback. It just doesn't happen. Not often enough, at least. This 49ers offense is way more explosive with Colin Kaepernick as the quarterback. But you still got guys that think that he should be the quarterback. You got Aaron Rodgers throwing fuel on the fire, coming out on NFL Total Access and talking about how he thinks his friend should have a shot, if not in San Francisco, somewhere else in the league. But I guarantee you there's a few guys in that locker room that aren't happy with that move, even though they're still winning football games. I'm going to be anxious to check out that Turning Point, because they usually have some really good sideline bites from guys that are mic'd up, and you really get to hear what's being said on that sideline. Be anxious to see what's going on there. Like I said, there's a lot of interesting storylines. The NFC East 3-way tie atop that division. That's going to come down to the wire. The Baltimore Ravens are struggling. They've lost 3 straight now. They got the Giants coming in. The loser of that game is in dire straits. Now, the Ravens have already clinched the playoff berth. But I've already said you don't want to go into the postseason moonwalking. You don't want to go in backpedaling. They don't win this game. This is their final game at home for the season. If they don't win this game, they're in some trouble. They could finish this season up on a 5-game losing streak, because they don't win this one at home, then they got to go to Cincinnati. That's no walk in the park. That's no cupcake. And the Bengals at that point will be fighting for their postseason lives, so they'll be giving it everything they have. So this Ravens team, they need to win desperately. You look at the Giants, they're in a 3-way tie for first place in the NFC East, and then they're on the outside looking in as it stands on the wild card front, so they need to win in the worst way. So a lot of interesting storylines in the AFC. It's really about seeding. It's that one spot, that 6th seed in the AFC, and then it's about seeding. Can the Broncos hold off the Patriots? I think there's really no one that thinks they won't be able to do it, because they got Cleveland and Kansas City at home for their final 2 games. Do you see Peyton Manning not getting an 11-game winning streak off of those 2 teams? That streak has to extend to 10 and then 11, don't you think? So Brady and the Patriots had an opportunity to get that number 2 seed and get that first round bye. I think they blew it with that loss on Sunday Night Football to the San Francisco 49ers. But it's just a lot of interesting things going on right now. You know, are the Falcons, for real, are they the best team in the NFC? Still up for debate. A lot of hot football being played by teams in the National Football League. Who's going to be fired at the end of the season? A lot of storylines. It's going to be fun down the stretch. I can't wait. It's an interesting time. This is the best time of year for football, because it's all meaningful. It all means something. Even if you're on a bad football team, you got to play your best, because that next coach coming in, that new GM coming in, they're evaluating everything you've put on tape. And if they see you out there giving a lackluster effort, oh, trust and believe, you won't be on the roster next year. And the worst thing you can do is be kicked off of your team as it stands, because if you go on another team, you won't be appreciated as much as you are on the team that you're currently on. To them, you're an outsider trying to infiltrate their roster if you go to another team. And so you might have been the 2nd linebacker in a group of 5 on the team you came from. You go to another team, and now you're the 4th linebacker. You're barely on the roster. They start cutting guys, you'll be one of the first to go. And so you don't want to put yourself in that position. You want to put the best performance you can on tape, so that when the next regime comes in, they'll say, hey, this is a guy that we can continue to build with, grow with, and he's an integral part of this team moving forward. So even if you're on a bad football team, you want to try to build momentum for next season, and you want to try to put as good a film as you can on tape so that you can remain on this roster come next season, especially if you're a veteran. You're a young guy, there might be some hope for you. There might be a chance that you stick it out, just because you might have some upside that they might believe in. But if you're a veteran, you're a 9, 10-year vet, you're making a little bit of money, you're the first person they're going to look at because they're going to try to cut costs and they're going to try to become a young football team. And the first people they do away with are aging veterans that are making way too much money. So everyone's got something to prove. This is the best time of year for football. It's going to be great down the stretch. That's going to do it for this episode of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. Also want to touch on something real quick and then I'm going to get out of here. The tragic events that occurred over the weekend, it's senseless. I have kids that are in elementary school, so I can relate. It's just something that really hits home, and it makes you want to squeeze your children even tighter. And it goes all the way back to what I talked about during Thanksgiving, during the Jovan Belcher situation, during the Josh Brent situation, which is you can't take anything for granted. Life is so precious, and it can be cut short. At any given time, you just don't know. And so you got to live life to the fullest, and you got to love those around you. There is no time for, petty things to get in the way. There's no time for you to take situations for granted. There's no time for that. Every second counts. Every moment is precious. And so you have to treat it as such. You got kids, you got family members, mom, dad, sisters, brothers, whoever. Tell them you love them. Tell them you love them. You got kids at home, squeeze them tighter. Kids, they can be so annoying at times. They can drive you up a wall, but they're kids and you love them. And this elementary school tragedy just helps you remember that much more. And so, all I can say is, cherish those around you. Don't take any moment for granted. Because you never know. That moment could be theirs or your last. We see it time and time again. You just never know. This was a senseless act of violence. So unnecessary. Children 6, 7, 8 years old have never done anything to anyone. Still innocent. Have no idea of what the world is. And a gunman just comes in and opens fire, killing them for no reason. I mean, it doesn't get any lower than that. But you can't control what other people do. All you can control is what you do. And what you should be doing is loving those around you. So you had a disagreement with someone that you care about, that you love. So what? So what? There's nothing worth having a damaged relationship with those you love. I've seen so many petty things go on of late. Oh, they don't call me, so I don't call them. Your family. Get over it. Pick up the phone, make the call. Doesn't matter who calls who. You make the phone call. That's petty. You may never speak to that family member again because they didn't call you last. You called them last and you don't want to call them again because they didn't call you. Petty. Get over it and be the bigger person. Because again, you just never know. I always say that. But situations like that elementary school tragedy just continues to hammer that point home that you just never know. You wake up one day and everything's fine. And in 20 minutes, your life can change. 5 minutes, 1 minute, your life can change. Don't take anyone or anything or any moment for granted. Live your life to the fullest and do it while loving those around you. And that's going to do it for this program. I thank you for joining me. As always, many ways to contact the show. There's Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. Every video I've ever done and uploaded is on that page. Like the page. I'm on YouTube. In the Lab Room is the show, as we all know. The YouTube page is Louie T. Louie, capital T, E-E. Type it in. It'll pop up. Like the page, subscribe it. Every video I've ever done. Most efficient and effective way to view the show or make a comment on one of the shows. YouTube. Also on Twitter. @InTheLabRoom is the Twitter handle. Drop something on Twitter. Follow me. I'd love to hear from you guys. It's always fun. Always fun. I enjoy what I do. Have a great time doing it. So those are the ways to contact the show or view it. And then also there's always the inbox inthelabroom@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. That's going to do it for this episode on Tuesday. I'm going to see you back here tomorrow on Wednesday when we get into the Survivor of the week. That Soul Survivor pick is coming down to the end. If you've made it this far in your Soul Survivor pool, you are the man. Because normally they don't last this long. By week 12, they're over with. Everyone's already been clipped down. And so if you're still in it, you and whoever else is still in it, you guys have done one hell of a job. So we'll be back tomorrow to talk about the Soul Survivor pick and get into other matters of the NFL. I thank you for joining me on the program. I'm going to see you back here same time, same place. As always, have a good one.